The Thanksgiving table at my parents' house in Greenwich was set with their finest china. Crystal wine glasses caught the afternoon light. The turkey was professionally catered because Mom didn't cook anymore. Not since Dad's hedge fund started doing well. I'd driven 2 hours from my studio apartment in Queens. The entire drive I'd told myself this year would be different. That I wouldn't let them get to me. I was wrong within 5 minutes. Emma. My sister Victoria swept into the dining room in a designer dress that probably cost more than my monthly rent. You're here. I was worried you'd gotten lost. Queens is so far. It's 2 hours, I said. Exactly. So far. She kissed the air near my cheek, her perfume overwhelming. You look comfortable. I was wearing a sweater and nice jeans. Victoria was wearing Chanel. Mom appeared from the kitchen, or rather from supervising the caterers in the kitchen. Emma, darling. Good you're here. Victoria, doesn't she look tired? Emma, are you sleeping enough? I'm fine, Mom. Those hospital hours must be exhausting. When do you work next? Tomorrow. 3 to 11. Victoria's eyes widened in exaggerated sympathy. On Black Friday? That's terrible. I'm taking the whole week off. Brad and I are going to Aspen. Brad was Victoria's husband, a corporate lawyer who made partner at 32. They lived in a 4-bedroom colonial in Westchester with a 3-car garage and a pool. I lived in a 400-square-foot studio with a Murphy bed and a view of a brick wall. Aspen sounds nice, I said. You should come sometime. Oh wait, can nurses afford Aspen? Victoria laughed like this was a hilarious joke. Dad emerged from his study. Emma. Good to see you. Still at Mount Sinai. Stat. Still in the ICU. Good. Honest work. He said it the way he might say, bless your heart, with pity masked as approval. We sat down for dinner. Victoria and Brad at Mom's right hand. Me across from them, next to the empty chair that used to be Grandma's. Grandma had died 6 weeks ago. We were still waiting for the will reading, scheduled for the following Tuesday. No one had mentioned her yet. Not really. Not beyond the logistics of the funeral. So, Victoria said, cutting into her turkey, the will reading is finally next week. Mom nodded. Tuesday at 2. Everyone has to be there. About time, Dad said. These things shouldn't take so long. 6 weeks is excessive. Estate law, Brad offered. It's a process. I've already been looking at houses, Victoria continued. She pulled out her phone, swiping through listings. This one is in Darien. 6 bedrooms, pool, guest house. It's only $3.2 million. That's lovely, dear, Mom said, leaning over to look at the photos. Look at this kitchen, Victoria zoomed in. Marble countertops. Professional-grade appliances. The kind you see in magazines. Beautiful, Mom agreed. And this one, Victoria swiped to another listing. In Greenwich, actually. Close to you guys. 7 bedrooms. Indoor pool. Tennis court. $4.5 million, but Grandma's portfolio can handle it. Grandma's portfolio has to be worth at least $5 million, Victoria said confidently. Between the house in Bronxville, the apartment in the city, all those stocks Dad's friend helped her invest. Plus her savings, her pension. Mother was very careful with money, Dad said. She invested well. Exactly, Victoria continued. So split 3 ways between us kids, that's over $1.5 million each. Maybe $2 million if it's closer to $6 million total. She looked at me, her expression one of exaggerated sympathy. Emma, you could finally buy a place. Get out of that sad little rental. My apartment is fine, I said quietly. It's 400 square feet. Victoria laughed. I've seen it, remember? When I came to visit last year. You don't even have a real bedroom. The bed folds into the wall. Like you're in college. It's efficient, I said. It's depressing. He turned to Mom. Have you seen it? The building doesn't even have a doorman. And the neighborhood, I had to park 3 blocks away. 3 blocks. Mom sighed. Emma makes her own choices, Victoria. I know, but still. Victoria shook her head. With your inheritance, you really should consider something nicer. Maybe Astoria? That's up and coming. Or Long Island City. Somewhere with actual amenities. A gym. A doorman. A place where your car won't get broken into. My car has never been broken into, I said. Yet, Victoria said. It's only a matter of time in that neighborhood. I said nothing. I'd learned years ago that defending myself only made it worse. Victoria returned to her phone. Brad and I will probably buy 2 properties. One in Westchester, something bigger than what we have now. And maybe a beach house. The Hamptons or maybe Nantucket. Smart investment, Dad nodded approvingly. What about you, Emma? Brad asked. He was trying to be nice. He usually was. What will you do with your share? I don't know, I said. I haven't thought about it. Victoria laughed. Of course you haven't. You never plan ahead. That's why you're 32 and still renting a studio apartment. Victoria, Brad said quietly. What? I'm just saying. Some of us plan for the future. She gestured at their beautiful life, their beautiful things. Some of us work hard and make good choices. I was working 70 hours a week as an ICU nurse, making $85,000 a year in one of the most expensive cities in the world. But Victoria was a marketing executive making $200,000, so clearly I wasn't working hard enough. Still, Victoria continued, it'll be nice for you to have some money. Maybe you can finally do something with your life. Go back to school. Get a better job. I like my job, I said. You change bedpans, Victoria said. She said it kindly with a smile which somehow made it worse. I save lives, I replied. Of course you do, dear, Mom said. We're very proud. But Victoria has a point. With an inheritance you could advance. Maybe go back for your MBA. Do something more prestigious. The rest of dinner passed in a blur of Victoria discussing her plans, Mom and Dad nodding approvingly, Brad trying to change the subject occasionally, and me sitting silently pushing food around my plate. As dessert was served, pumpkin pie from a bakery in Manhattan that cost $60. Victoria leaned forward conspiratorially. I have to admit, she said, I'm curious what Grandma left to each of us. Do you think it'll be equal? Why wouldn't it be? Mom asked. Well, Victoria glanced at me. I mean, I spent a lot more time with Grandma than some people. We all loved Grandma, I said quietly. Of course. But I visited her every month. Brought the kids. She loved seeing the kids. What Victoria didn't mention. Those monthly visits were scheduled precisely 2 weeks apart, lasted exactly 90 minutes, and always ended with Victoria checking her watch and saying they had another commitment. What Victoria didn't know, I had visited Grandma every week. Every single Thursday evening for 3 years. We'd have dinner together, watch Jeopardy and talk. Really talk. But I'd never mentioned it to my family. Because Grandma asked me not to. They'll make it about them, Grandma had said. They'll want to know why I'm not giving them the same attention. Or they'll start visiting out of obligation, not love. I like our Thursday evenings, Emma. Just us. Can we keep it our secret? So I had. For 3 years I told my family I was working late on Thursdays. Or meeting friends. Or too tired to talk. They never questioned it. They never asked for details. They never asked about anything in my life, really. I'm sure Grandma was fair, Dad said. She was always fair. Still, Victoria said, pulling up her calculator app, even $1.5 million would be life-changing for Emma. Finally, a down payment on a real apartment. Everyone laughed. Including Brad, though he looked uncomfortable about it. I excused myself to the bathroom and stood in front of the mirror, taking deep breaths. My phone buzzed. A text from the estate lawyer, Mr. Patterson. Just confirming Tuesday, 2 p.m. Reading will take approximately 1 hour. Please arrive promptly. I looked at myself in the mirror. Tired eyes. My grandmother's eyes. Everyone said I had her eyes. I thought about Thursday evenings. About sitting in Grandma's apartment on the Upper East Side, eating her homemade soup, watching her get competitive about Jeopardy. Come on, Emma, the answer is Marie Curie. How did you not know that? I thought about last Thanksgiving when I'd visited Grandma the night before the family dinner. She'd held my hand and said, "You're the only one who sees me as a person, not a checkbook." I told her she was wrong. That the family loved her. They love the idea of me, she'd said. You love me. When I returned to the table, Victoria was showing Mom pictures of furniture. For the new house, she explained. I'm thinking modern farmhouse. Very on trend. The drive back to Queens took 3 hours because of traffic. I got home at 11 p.m., climbed the 4 flights to my studio, and collapsed on my Murphy bed without bothering to fold it up. My phone buzzed again. Victoria in the family group chat. Can't wait for Tuesday. Finally going to be able to upgrade our lives. Emma, we should go furniture shopping together after the reading. Help you pick out some adult furniture. Oh. I turned off my phone. Tuesday arrived wrapped in December cold. I'd taken the day off work. I wore my interview suit, navy blue, slightly worn at the cuffs but professional. I took the subway to Midtown, emerging onto Fifth Avenue where Mr. Patterson's office occupied the 42nd floor of a glass tower. The waiting room was all marble and leather. Too expensive. Too quiet. Mom and Dad were already there sitting on a sofa speaking in low tones. They looked up when I entered. Emma, Mom said. You're early. So are you. We wanted time to prepare, Dad said. This is an emotional day. Victoria and Brad arrived 10 minutes later, Victoria in another designer outfit, carrying a Birkin bag. Sorry we're late. Traffic was insane. Emma, you look nice. Is that the same suit you wore to your nursing school graduation? Yes, I said. Cute. Very thrifty. The receptionist appeared. Mr. Patterson is ready for you. We filed into a large conference room. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooked Central Park. A long table with leather chairs. Everything designed to intimidate. Mr. Patterson was in his 60s, white-haired with kind eyes. He'd been Grandma's lawyer for 30 years. He nodded to each of us as we sat. Thank you for coming, he said. I know this is difficult. Martha was a remarkable woman. Victoria dabbed at her eyes with a tissue she'd prepared in advance. Mr. Patterson opened a leather folder. Before we begin, I need to clarify a few things. This will was executed 14 months ago in October of last year. Martha was of sound mind as documented by her physician. The will was properly witnessed and notarized. It is legally binding and final. Of course, Dad said. Martha also left instructions that I was to read the will in its entirety before taking questions. I ask that everyone respect that. We all nodded. Mr. Patterson put on his reading glasses. The last will and testament of Martha Elizabeth Reeves, executed October 7, 2023. He read through the legal preliminaries. That Grandma was of sound mind. That this superseded all previous wills. That Mr. Patterson was executor. Then he reached the bequest. To my son James Reeves and his wife Patricia Reeves, I leave the sum of $25,000. Silence. Complete shocked silence. Mom's face went white. To my granddaughter Victoria Reeves Morrison, I leave the sum of $25,000. Victoria's mouth fell open. What? Please hold all questions until the reading is complete, Mr. Patterson said gently. The entirety of my remaining estate, he continued, his voice steady, including my residence at 784 Park Avenue, my investment accounts, stock portfolio, retirement accounts, personal property, and all other assets not specifically mentioned above, I leave to my granddaughter Emma Louise Reeves. The room exploded. That's impossible. Victoria stood up. Read it again. The estate has been valued at $4.1 million, Mr. Patterson continued calmly. This includes the Park Avenue apartment valued at $2.3 million, investment and retirement accounts totaling $1.6 million, savings accounts of $150,000, and personal property valued at approximately $50,000. No, Mom said. She wasn't crying. She looked stunned, like someone had physically struck her. No, that can't be right. James, tell him that can't be right. Dad said nothing. His face had gone from white to red. His hands were gripping the armrests of his chair so hard his knuckles were white. This is fraud. Victoria's voice was shaking. Emma manipulated her. She's a nurse, she had access. Mrs. Morrison, Mr. Patterson interrupted firmly, I must warn you that accusations like that could expose you to legal liability. I assure you this will is completely valid. But $4 million. Victoria turned to me. You knew this whole time. That's why you visited. You were planning this. I shook my head. I was crying. I didn't. I swear I didn't know. Liar. Victoria screamed. Victoria, sit down, Brad said quietly. No. This is insane. We're contesting this. Right now. This second. That is your right, Mr. Patterson said. However, I should inform you that Martha anticipated this possibility. She left a letter explaining her decision. Would you like me to read it? Yes, Dad said. His voice was hollow. Mr. Patterson pulled out an envelope. I recognized Grandma's handwriting on the front. To my family with love and honesty. He opened it and began to read. To James, Patricia, Victoria, and Brad. I need to be honest with you. I need you to understand this decision even if you never accept it. For the last 3 years of my life, Emma came to see me every Thursday evening. Every single week. Rain, snow, heat wave, holidays she never missed. Not once. She'd arrive at 6 o'clock with dinner. Sometimes takeout, sometimes groceries she'd cook in my kitchen. We'd eat together. Watch Jeopardy. Talk about our weeks. He told me about her patients. The ones she saved and the ones she couldn't. The families she comforted. The hospital politics she navigated. He asked about my life. My past. My memories. We talked about her grandmother, my late husband, and I got to share stories with someone who actually wanted to hear them. We talked about everything. Art, politics, books, life, death, fear, joy. Emma gave me 3 hours every Thursday. Every single week. That's 156 hours a year. Over 3 years, that's 468 hours. Nearly 20 full days of her life. She did this while working 70-hour weeks. While living in a studio apartment she could barely afford. While being dismissed by her own family for not being ambitious enough. She did it because she loved me. Not because she wanted anything. Because she saw me as a person, not as a grandmother-shaped obligation. Victoria, you visited once a month. 90 minutes each time. You'd arrive exactly on schedule, stay exactly 90 minutes and leave exactly when planned. You brought your children, which was lovely, but you spent most of the visit on your phone. You asked how I was doing, but you didn't wait for the answer. In 3 years, you spent approximately 54 hours with me. 1/9 of what Emma spent. James and Patricia. You called every Sunday at 10 a.m. Like clockwork. 10 minutes per call. You asked if I needed anything. You offered to hire help. You were dutiful. But you never visited outside holidays. Christmas and Thanksgiving. 2 meals a year. Maybe 6 hours total annually. You treated me like an obligation on your calendar. A box to check. Called mother. Visited mother for holidays. I don't tell you this to hurt you. I tell you because you need to understand. Emma didn't treat me like an obligation. He treated me like a friend. When I was diagnosed with stage 3 breast cancer 2 years ago, Emma took me to every oncology appointment. Every single one. She held my hand during chemo. He stayed with me when I was sick. He helped me understand my treatment options. None of you knew I had cancer. I didn't tell you because I knew what would happen. You'd feel guilty. You'd start visiting out of obligation, not love. You'd rearrange your schedules and resent it. You'd mark time until it was over. Emma never knew I was keeping it from you. She just came every Thursday and was there. I'm in remission now. Thanks in large part to Emma's support. So here's what I've decided. The people who were present in my life should benefit from my death. Not the people who plan to be present after it. Victoria, I'm leaving you $25,000. That's approximately $463 per visit over 3 years. A fair payment for your time. James and Patricia, I'm leaving you $25,000. That's approximately $83 per phone call over 3 years. Also fair. Emma, I'm leaving you everything else. Not because you expect it. You don't. Not because you asked for it. You never did. But because you earned it through 468 hours of just being there. If you're angry about this, I understand. But ask yourself, when was the last time you spent 3 hours with me without checking your watch? When was the last time you asked about my life and actually listened to the answer? Emma asked. Every Thursday. For 3 years. That's worth more than money can measure. So I'm giving her the money too. I don't do this to punish you. I do it to teach you. Presence matters. Showing up matters. Seeing people as people, not as future inheritance, matters. Maybe you'll learn that. Maybe you won't. Either way, Emma has earned this. Every penny. With love and absolutely no regrets, Martha Elizabeth Reeves. The silence that followed was crushing. I was sobbing. I couldn't stop. My grandmother, she'd known. She'd known exactly what she was doing. Cancer. Mom whispered. You had cancer? She's dead, Patricia, Dad said flatly. It doesn't matter now. Every Thursday? Victoria was staring at me. You visited her every Thursday? I nodded, unable to speak. You never told us. Grandma asked me not to. Why? Because. I wiped my eyes. Because she said you'd make it about you. And she was right. Look at you right now. This is manipulation. Victoria turned to Mr. Patterson. This is clearly manipulation. She isolated our grandmother, poisoned her against us. Mrs. Morrison. Mr. Patterson's voice was sharp now. Your grandmother wrote that letter 14 months ago. She was cancer-free at the time as documented by her oncologist. She was of completely sound mind. I have that documented. I have documentation of Emma's visits. Building security logs showing Emma arrived every Thursday at 6 p.m. for 3 years. I have testimonies from neighbors. I have phone records showing Emma called daily to check in. I have records from her oncology team showing Emma attended every appointment. He pulled out a thick folder. Your grandmother documented everything. She knew you'd contest. She prepared for it. So we have no choice? Dad asked. We just accept this? You can contest, Mr. Patterson said. But I'm telling you, as someone who's practiced estate law for 40 years, you will lose. The evidence is overwhelming. And you'll waste $25,000 to $50,000 in legal fees trying. This is unbelievable, Victoria said. He was crying now, angry tears. $4 million. To her. She looked at me with pure hatred. You planned this. You manipulated a sick old woman. She wasn't sick when I started visiting. I said. I visited because I loved her. Because she was interesting and funny and smart and I liked spending time with her. You lived in a studio apartment, Victoria shot back. You were desperate for money. You saw an opportunity. I didn't know about the apartment in the city. I didn't know about the stocks. I knew she owned her Park Avenue place, but I thought she was living off Social Security and Dad's help. You're lying, Victoria said flatly. I'm not. I turned to Mr. Patterson. I really didn't know about any of this. He nodded. Martha never discussed her finances with you? Never. We talked about everything else. But never money. That's documented too, he said. Martha specifically noted in her planning meetings with me that she never wanted Emma to know the extent of her wealth. She wanted to ensure Emma's visits were genuine. He looked at my family. Which they were. Brad stood up. I think we need time to process this. Of course, Mr. Patterson said. The $25,000 bequests will be distributed within 30 days. Emma, the estate will take 4 to 6 months to process through probate. I'll contact you to begin that process. We all stood. Victoria was still crying. Mom looked shell-shocked. Dad's face was red with suppressed anger. In the elevator down, no one spoke. We stood in that small space, the silence suffocating. When we reached the lobby, Victoria turned to me. If you had any decency, she said, her voice shaking, you'd split that money with us. With your family. Grandma made her wishes clear, I said. Grandma was manipulated. She was evaluated by doctors. The will is legal. Legal doesn't mean right. Victoria stepped closer. You're really going to take $4 million and give us nothing? Grandma gave you $25,000 each. That's nothing. That's insulting. That's what she decided. You poisoned her against us. No, I said quietly. I just showed up. I walked away from them out onto Fifth Avenue into the December cold. My phone started buzzing before I even reached the subway. Victoria, you're dead to me. Mom, Emma, we need to discuss this reasonably. Dad, this is tearing our family apart. Victoria, everyone will know what you did. Mom, please call me. Victoria, manipulative bitch. I turned off my phone. That night I sat in my studio apartment staring at the Murphy bed, the tiny kitchen, the brick wall view. $4 million. I couldn't process it. I thought about Grandma. About Thursday evenings. About the last time I'd seen her 2 months before she died. We'd been watching Jeopardy. She'd gotten every question in the opera category correct, showing off. During a commercial she'd taken my hand. I updated my will last year, she'd said. Grandma, you don't have to. I want you to know. I'm leaving almost everything to you. I'd started to protest, but she'd squeezed my hand. You'll try to refuse it, she'd said. You'll think it's too much. You'll worry about your family. But Emma, listen to me, you earned this. Not through manipulation or scheming. Through showing up. Through being present. Through loving me without expecting anything in return. But Victoria. We'll be fine. She makes $200,000 a year and married a lawyer. Your parents are fine too. You're the one struggling. Let me help you. Please. I don't visit you for money, I'd said, crying. I know, sweetheart. That's exactly why you're getting it. The memory hurt. Fresh grief mixing with shock, mixing with guilt. Over the next 2 weeks, the harassment escalated. Victoria posted on social media. Vague posts about family betrayal and people who take advantage. She never named me directly, but anyone who knew us would understand. Extended family members started calling. Cousins I hadn't spoken to in years. My Aunt Helen, Grandma's sister, left a voicemail. Your grandmother would be ashamed of you. Mom called daily. Sometimes crying, sometimes angry. How can you do this to us? We're your family. Dad sent emails. Long, formal ones explaining why I had a moral obligation to share the inheritance. How family meant taking care of each other. How Grandma would have wanted us all to benefit equally. Except Grandma had explicitly stated otherwise in her letter. Victoria showed up at my apartment building one Saturday. The buzzer rang 20 times. When I didn't answer, she left packages outside my door. Inside, printouts of Zillow listings. Houses you could buy for the family, her note said. Make this right. I called Mr. Patterson. Can they keep doing this? Technically, yes. Unless they threaten you or trespass. But Emma, I've seen this before. Family who feels entitled to money they didn't receive. They're hoping you'll give in. Hoping the harassment will work. Will it stop? If they contest and lose, usually yes. The court defeat makes it real. And if they don't contest? Then eventually they'll accept it. Or they won't. But you can't give in. Martha made her wishes clear. Honor them. 3 weeks after the will reading, I received a legal letter. Victoria had filed a will contest. Grounds: undue influence, isolation of decedent, taking advantage of vulnerability due to cancer diagnosis. Mr. Patterson called me. Don't worry. We expected this. Gather any evidence you have. Text messages with your grandmother, photos, anything showing your relationship was genuine. I spent a week going through my phone. 3 years of Thursday evening photos. Grandma and me at her dining table. Watching Jeopardy. Cooking together. Playing cards. Just being together. Hundreds of text messages. Daily check-ins. How are you feeling? Do you need anything? Thinking of you. And her responses, I'm fine, sweetheart. Just happy you're in my life. Can't wait for Thursday. Evidence of a relationship. Of love. Of presence. The court hearing was scheduled for 4 months later. In the meantime, I continued working at the hospital. 70-hour weeks in the ICU. Saving lives. Losing lives. Coming home exhausted to my 400-square-foot studio. Nothing had changed yet. The inheritance was tied up in probate and now in court proceedings. I still lived the same life. Except now my family hated me. Christmas came. I wasn't invited to dinner. Victoria posted photos on Instagram. Mom, Dad, Victoria, Brad, the kids. Everyone smiling. Grateful for real family, the caption said. I worked a double shift Christmas Day. It was easier than being alone. 4 months after the will reading, we sat in Manhattan Circuit's court. Judge Robert Chin presided. He was in his 50s, sharp-eyed, no-nonsense. Victoria's attorney was a woman named Sharon Blackwell. Expensive. Aggressive. She wore a suit that cost more than I made in a month. She presented their case. That I'd had unprecedented access to Grandma. That I'd isolated her from her family by encouraging her to keep our visits secret. That I'd taken advantage of her vulnerability during cancer treatment. That as a medical professional I could have influenced her mental state or medications. She had no evidence. Just implications and suggestions. Then Mr. Patterson presented our case. Building security logs showing I'd arrived every Thursday at 6 p.m. for 156 consecutive weeks. Only missed holidays when Grandma was visiting my parents. The logs were detailed. My name, time of arrival, time of departure. Every week. For 3 years. Phone records showing I'd called Grandma daily for 3 years. An average of 7 minutes per call. Just checking in. How are you feeling? Did you eat today? Do you need anything from the store? Email exchanges about books we'd both read. Recommendations. Discussions. Proof of an intellectual connection. Photos of us at museums, at cafes in Central Park. Not just the obligatory holiday photos my family had. Real outings. Real time together. Testimony from Grandma's oncologist. Emma Reeves attended every appointment as patient support. Martha was completely mentally competent throughout her treatment. The will was executed during a period of excellent health, 14 months before her death, and well before any cognitive decline. Testimony from Grandma's neighbors in her building. We only ever saw Emma visiting regularly. The rest of the family came for holidays only. Maybe Christmas. Maybe Thanksgiving. But Emma? Every week. Rain or shine. Testimony from the building doorman, a man named Marcus who'd worked there for 15 years. Miss Emma came every Thursday like clockwork. Sometimes she'd bring soup. Sometimes flowers. Sometimes just herself. Always stayed 3 hours. The grandmother, Mrs. Reeves, she lit up when Miss Emma arrived. You could see it. She'd be watching the door waiting. Photos from my phone. Hundreds of them. Showing a genuine loving relationship. Text messages between Grandma and me. Daily. Loving. And Grandma's letter written 14 months before her death, explaining everything clearly. Judge Chen reviewed it all. Then he spoke. I've presided over many estate disputes, he said. Many involve legitimate questions about mental capacity, suspicious circumstances, or unclear intent. This is not one of those cases. He looked at Victoria. Ms. Morrison, your grandmother left a detailed, documented explanation of her decision. She was evaluated by multiple doctors and found completely competent. She had the right to leave her assets to whomever she chose. But she was manipulated, Victoria started. No, Judge Chin interrupted. She was visited. There's a significant difference. A crucial one. He turned to Mr. Patterson. The evidence shows a granddaughter who provided consistent, loving care to her grandmother for years. Who asked for nothing in return. Who didn't even know the extent of the estate she'd inherit. Back to Victoria. You visited once a month for 90 minutes. That's your choice. But you can't now claim that someone who visited weekly for 3 hours somehow manipulated your grandmother. If you wanted a relationship with her, you should have invested the time. He banged his gavel. Contest denied. Martha Reeves's will stands as written. Furthermore, given the frivolous nature of this contest and the clear evidence against it, I'm awarding Ms. Emma Reeves her legal fees, to be paid by the contesting party. Mr. Patterson leaned over. That's $28,000 they owe you. Victoria stood abruptly. This is wrong. This is, she looked at me. I hope you're happy. You've destroyed this family. I didn't destroy anything, I said quietly. I just showed up. Outside the courthouse, Mom and Dad were waiting. $28,000, Dad said. You're going to make us pay? The judge made that decision. You could waive it. No. So you're really doing this? Mom asked. Taking $4 million? Forcing your own parents to pay legal fees? Destroying your relationship with your sister? I'm honoring Grandma's wishes, I said. That's all I'm doing. Your grandmother would be ashamed, Mom said. My grandmother wrote a letter explaining exactly why she made this decision. She knew you'd react this way. She prepared for it. I walked away from them. 6 months after Grandma's death, the estate cleared probate. I inherited everything. The Park Avenue apartment. The investment accounts. The stocks. The savings. $4.1 million. I sat in Grandma's apartment. My apartment now, on a Thursday evening. The place still smelled like her. Lavender and old books and home. I thought about what to do. What Grandma would want me to do. I called Mr. Patterson. I want to set up a fund. 4 nurses continuing their education. $50,000 a year. Your grandmother would love that. And I want to donate to the American Cancer Society. In her name. $100,000. Wonderful. The apartment. I think I'll keep it. Live here. It was her home. It feels right. She'd be glad to know it's yours. I made more decisions over the following weeks. I kept the apartment and moved in. From 400 square feet in Queens to 2,000 square feet on Park Avenue. The commute to Mount Sinai was 15 minutes instead of 90. I enrolled in a master's program to become a nurse practitioner. I could afford it without loans now. Without working 3 jobs. I invested most of the money. Conservative investments, the kind Grandma would have approved of. I kept working at the hospital. Same job. Same hours. But now I didn't have to stress about rent. About bills. About whether I could afford to fix my car or take a day off when I was sick. My family didn't speak to me for almost a year. Then, on what would have been Grandma's 84th birthday, I received a text from Dad. I've been thinking about Mother. About what she wrote in her letter. I was wrong to be angry at you. You didn't take anything from us. We gave it away ourselves by not being present. I'm sorry. We met for coffee the next week. Really talked for the first time in years. Your mother is still angry, he said. So is Victoria. I don't know if they'll come around. That's their choice, I said. You were right, though. About showing up mattering. I should have shown up more. For Mother. For you. It's not too late, I said. For us at least. We started having coffee every other week. Not Thursday evenings. Those were still Grandma's even though she was gone. But Sunday mornings. Slowly rebuilding something. Mom took longer. Almost 2 years before she called. I miss my mother, she said. And I miss my daughter. I'm sorry for how I acted. The money, it doesn't matter. I just want my family back. Victoria never apologized. We see each other at occasional family events now. We're polite. Civil. But the relationship is broken. Maybe permanently. She has her mansion in Darien. Her beach house in the Hamptons. Her designer clothes and her perfect life. I have Grandma's apartment. Her books. Her memories. Her legacy. And on Thursday evenings I still sit in her living room watching Jeopardy, talking to her like she's still there. The answer is Marie Curie, Grandma. How did I not know that? I like to think she's listening. 3 years after the inheritance I completed my master's degree. I became a nurse practitioner, specializing in oncology. Working with cancer patients the way Grandma had been. I helped patients understand their treatment. Held hands during chemo. Made sure no one faced their diagnosis alone. It felt like honoring her memory. Like using her gift the way she'd intended. The scholarship fund had helped 15 nurses so far. Some sent thank you notes. I couldn't have finished school without this. This changed my life. Thank you for investing in nurses. Grandma would have loved that. I thought about her letter often. About her final lesson, presence matters. She'd been right. About everything. The people who show up are the ones who deserve to be there. The people who invest time are the ones who earn trust. The people who love without expecting anything are the ones who deserve everything. I'd shown up every Thursday. I'd been present. I'd loved her. And she'd loved me back. With a $4 million inheritance and a letter explaining exactly why. On Thursday evenings I still sit in her living room. Sometimes alone. Sometimes Dad joins me. Sometimes friends from the hospital. But I'm never lonely. Grandma gave me more than money. She gave me the knowledge that I'd done right. That I'd been there when it mattered. That I'd loved someone fully and they'd loved me back. That was the real inheritance. The $4 million was just proof.